Today, on the First Time a Storytelling broadcast, my guest is Ed Waters. Ed is the host of Dead America podcast. They love talking about issues that matter the most. Ed is here to share the story of the first time he caught a salmon. Welcome to the broadcast, Ed.
Thank you, Ann. It's a wonderful delight to be with you today. Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's go ahead and frame your story. So, what was happening? What led you to be out somewhere on the waters on a river? We'll figure it out. Fishing for salmon.
Well, a lot of people, they go out fishing with a rod and reel and they catch a salmon the first time on a rod and reel. That's not the case for myself. I was raised the Indian way, and I caught my first salmon on a gaff pole, on this 10-foot pole, and you hook the salmon and you hang on for your life because it's going to take you for a little bit of a ride if you don't hang on. And there's a stark difference between the two. And when I caught my first salmon, I was just 13 years old. And it was my first time up on the pole and a lot tied into it. So the emotions that ran through my mind and the excitement that I had, because for many years I wanted to grab the pole and hook a salmon just like all of the elders were doing. But no, you're not big enough. They'll take you downriver. You've got to wait. Well, I found out when I hooked into one what they meant by that. Here I am, 13 years old, 80, 90 pounds at the most. And there's rapids on this river. And when you put that hook down in the water and you start filling for a salmon to hook, there's already a current pull on that and it's starting to drag you. I put that hook in. I did it many times on suckers up in Asotin Creek, but I never got into the big water of Rapid River, Idaho. And the first time I hooked onto a salmon with a gaff pole, it scared the heck out of me. That thing grabbed a hold of me, and I couldn't believe I was holding on to this thing. And I was screaming for dear life, help me, help me. You hooked it, you get it to shore. And that even scared me more because by that time I was already waist deep in the water thinking, oh, I'm going down. And they said, well, don't worry, kid. If you go in, somebody downriver will gaff you out. And that really got my adrenaline flowing, and then I'm really pulling for dear life on my backside, just trying like heck to get this big salmon out of that rapid river water. To my amazement, I got that salmon to shore, and it was like I caught that big 35-pound salmon. It almost took me, but I got it. And the accomplishment just hit me like, wow, that was amazing. And the fear, the adrenaline, and the pride all at one time, nothing like it. I've
Yeah,
caught many salmon after that, but that first time, it was just wow.
pretty
And it was
remarkable.
a life changer. Yes.
So
So that
let's
was basically my first time catching a salmon.
well, let's dig a little bit more in your story. So clearly, so again, like in the background, like where did you grow up that this was part of, you know, what you did, uh, uh, and who was there with you that day? And Can you give us a little bit more details about those things?
Sure. Oh, yes. The year was 1979, and a lot was going on in 1979. We had the oil crisis, we had the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, we had 3 Mile Island disaster, and the Cold War started all in those years. Jimmy Carter was president, and it's a real memorable experience because that year a lot changed in my life. We were with the tribe. Everybody goes out to the river together, and we walk up and down the river together days before the salmon run starts, just trying and gaffing to get the fill for the run of the salmon. So basically, you have little picnic areas set up and camping spots. You camp there, everybody gets together. I was up all night with the big boys that night. It was the first time I stayed up all night. To add on top of the excitement, the adrenaline, I was beat tired. So it was amazing I didn't go into the river. But all of the elders, they gathered us and we went down to the fishing hole, and he said, start a fire. Joe, my stepfather, start a fire. Well, I never started a fire either. So it's the first time I'm trying to start a fire. So I go out, I gather some sticks and bundles, but the sticks, they were, as big as a, and you're not going to start a fire that way. So he had to patiently show me how to get this fire started. There was a downed old growth right where we camped by the river, and we started that old growth on fire to burn throughout the night to give us light, warmth. And so the river is in Rapid River, Idaho. That's a little north of Lewiston, Idaho. Excuse me, south of Lewiston, Idaho. And it's basically the Nez Perce Indian tribal area, and it's their tribal fishing grounds. That year, you can look this up online about the 1979 Rapid River standoff.
Mm.
It's the year that the Idaho State Fish and Game Department started really getting down on the Indians for fishing the way they did, depleting the fishing stock. So there was a big thing 2 years in a row, 1979 and 1980. 1979, I got my first ticket for fishing illegally by the the Idaho State Fish and Game because of this standoff with the tribe and the Fish and Game Department. Very contentious. There was rifles and snipers, and yeah, it
Jeez.
it was a memorable experience for sure. My first fishing experience with salmon, but that was a very memorable time because it really made people change. The tribe had to really start looking at what they were doing with fishing rights and how if you take all the fish, there's not going to be a stock for the next generation. And that really got the elders thinking. And now they've got their act together with the fishing, and they make sure they have stock, and they're actively involved in salmon and getting the run up the Columbia River to make sure the stock stays for generations to come.
Yeah. So, couple additional question. One is was 13 for the tribe the age where for the young men? And did the woman get the fish, but for the young men to go out and kind of prove themselves? Is that like a tradition or?
I don't really know that, Ann. They just picked that year because I was big enough, I believe. Every year before I was running the banks, the river banks, and I would pick up the salmon egg skeins and I would want to try to uh, sperminate them is what I told my elders, and I got a bad nickname because of that. They I still get poked with that one still today because I wanted to hatch the eggs and I said it improper. Wording matters. And it will last you a lifetime. So no, that was just basically I was big enough. They felt that I wasn't going to go down river, and I'm glad they waited, really,
Yeah.
because I wasn't big enough. And yeah, we have different ways of thinking about things. I was a wild child, had freedom to explore. I would go up in the mountains by myself and camp and hunt and fish. Big different world from what we live in today. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
I'm envious. That's what I wanted my childhood
Yeah,
to be like.
so am I. I want to go
Yeah.
back.
So
you know,
then my next question is then what did you do with the salmon that you caught?
we definitely ate that salmon. Uh, the thing about when we went hunting and fishing, we went to stock up for the winter. And salmon was one of the best staples on the table that I enjoyed. And we basically always fried salmon, but I really enjoyed it when they took and smoked the salmon. My stepfather could make some of the best smoked salmon, and I'm still envious of that. I wish I would have paid more attention to the details of how he did that. So paying attention matters, but we ate the salmon for sure. The salmon was prepared. My mother and the ladies would take care of that mainly, but we got involved as kids. We were always told to get out of the way, but learning, you got to get involved.
Yeah.
And
So did you know how
when
to
we
gut
brought,
and clean a fish?
oh yes, yes, we learned that at 2 3 years of age. Yeah, I was fishing all my life, active fishing, hunting family. Yes,
Hmm. Great skills to have to learn
they
at a
are.
young age. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think we need to get more involvement back into that. We should know how to go out, catch a fish, do a little hunting. It's not everybody's bag, but it's nice to know, that you have the freedom, the knowledge, and the will to be able to go out and prepare, go out, get your food, prepare it, and have yourself food throughout the winter. It's not something you run to Walmart for all the time. And our world is more into that now, where we just go buy elk, deer, salmon from the market now. It's changed a lot.
Yeah. I have, well, admittedly, it's those are not skills that I possess, but I've only been fishing once, and it was one of the toughest first times I ever had to do. But I would like to learn, and I would like to learn how to gut the fish. And, you know, I love salmon, I love fish, and I do feel like I should know how to do this on my own. Now, hunting, um, I'm not a vegetarian. I definitely eat meat. So I do feel like, okay, I should be able, same thing. If this is what I want to eat, then I should know how to do it. I'm definitely in that camp of those are the type of skills that we should all possess, even if we don't need them for just have the experience, the knowledge and the appreciation, the gratitude, because there's a lot of that's been lost that is very involved. With the tribes is that, they're very grateful for the animals are there to sustain them. And we certainly do not practice that mindset for the most part.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
The world can be a very vicious place, and if we let it tear us up, it will tear us up. So we've got to find a positive place to rest in.
Yeah.
And you know, you don't have to be the person that you were raised. You can be the person you choose to be. All it takes is taking that first step to get there. And that's what I push a lot. You've got to take that first step.
Well,
That's why I
definitely.
like first times.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Ed. That's definitely what I promote. Have those first times, have those experiences, uh, figure out how they enrich you. And it's not necessarily that you're gonna continue to do that, but you've had the experience, and it only takes one time for something to have an impact, change you, and be a fabulous memory. I mean, obviously you kept on fishing for salmon for years after that, but you never do forget that first time and that boost that you get of feeling the fear, knowing the fear, the pressure, and seeing
Yeah.
your because it didn't seem like you were having any support around you. It was a weird kind
Yeah,
of support,
exactly.
right? It was like, hey, if you get
Yeah,
dragged along the river, we'll find you. Like somebody's gonna fish you
we'll
out. Don't
get
worry
you.
about it.
Yeah.
But nobody came into the water and help you get that fish, and that is priceless. I mean, you have
Yes.
to allow someone to struggle, to dig deep and to figure it out, and when you learn that early on as a kid, it serves you for the rest of your life.
Yes. And now, just to back that up a little bit, I want everybody to know that those elders already knew that before a child would hold on and go into the river, they're going to let go of that pole. So they already knew the mindset of the child. They're going to let go before they go down. So they were not being impractical in any way. They were teaching me a lesson. You can do this. So
Mm.
it's a valuable lesson to learn. And I will always cherish it. That's for sure.
Oh, well, they probably would have been a bit worried about me because I'm so stubborn. I don't let go. They probably would have been like, "She will get dragged." She won't. I used to
Well,
play. My dad used to play this game with me and my brother, and we would battle him or whatever, and just wrestling with your dad or whatever. We all had like 3 lives, and the one way he got us to give up our lives is he would get into our neck and put the pressure,
oh,
and
yeah.
my brother would all he would tap out. I would be in tears, and I would like he knew he was hurting me, and he would have to stop because I would not tap out. Like he was just like, you were so stubborn, like he would not give up. And but that made him feel like I would do well in life. So,
Well, they would probably be standing over the top of you then to to be ready to grab you. So that's important to know the child also. But that's
and
a
or to
good thing to
impart,
have that
yeah, to impart the wisdom
go.
onto the child.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
That's a good experience, that's for
yeah.
sure.
What my
I
first
had a fourth grade teacher that did that neck thing. Ooh, not a
Oh,
good thing.
wait, why was a teacher doing that?
I was a yahoo. You know,
Uh,
that's
well,
that's one of those things. I was not very cordial in school. I,
yeah.
I was one of those problem childs, and I wish it was different, but it is what it is. I'm a different person now, thank God.
Yeah, and things have changed. What teachers can or cannot do. As you know, when I much younger kid in going to school in Canada, and I got the ruler from the nurse from the nuns a couple of times. I got the ruler on the knuckles. You know, would never
Yeah,
happen today, but it definitely did happen back then.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, big difference in times, that's for sure.
Yeah, good and bad, I reckon. All right, Ed, a fabulous story. So glad you shared it with us. Before we move into the first time lightning round, how do people get in touch with you, listen to your podcasts?
You can get a hold of me at deadamerica.website. We have a contact tab. All of our basic stuff is right there above the fold.
All right, excellent. Okay, so it is time for the first time lightning round. So the way it works is I'm going to ask Ed 10 different first time options, similar to if he was on the 365 First Challenge app. If it's something he's done before, he's going to say up, done it before. Something never done, not interested, left. Something never done, would like to do, add to your list. We go right. Ready? All right. Well,
Let's do this.
now that I know more about you, this might definitely be something that you don't need. But the first one is take a 23andMe test.
23andMe test. I'm really not even sure what it is, Anne. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
it's
So,
a DNA test that kind of gives you um your history, your background,
ah,
your genealogy.
left.
Left. Yeah.
Never done it. I'm not interested in finding out what could kill me.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, it also lets you know, like you're, but then again, you probably already know that, like you're this, you know, your heritage, your history, like what percentage of what.
That would be interesting,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. So that's
No
the
facts for sure.
yeah the 23andMe test. There's a I haven't done it, but I've had two siblings who have done it, and a lot more Irish in our did not realize they're I'm French
Interesting.
Canadian, so a lot more Irish than even French. That's a little surprising. But okay, next one. Take a ceramic class.
I have done that.
Oh, that's an
So,
up.
up.
Yeah.
Loved it.
All right. What did you make? What was it like?
I made some salt and pepper shakers, and I've made like vases and just different little things that you do in school in ceramic shop.
All
But my
right.
first one was a little corn, salt and pepper, and a butter dish.
Oh, nice. That go to mom.
Yes, it did. And she loved it, by the way.
And she loved it. All right. Next one is drive an Audi R8.
Never done it. I would love to do it.
Love to do it. All right. Next one is go mudding. Not in a vehicle, but like mudding, sit in a pool of mud.
Well, I've never done it, but I would be game for that. So that
Huh.
is right.
That is a right. Okay. Excellent. Next one in the spirit of Halloween is go to haunted house.
I have done that.
You have done
Up.
that. You remember your first haunted house?
Not my first one, no. Well, I've been through several haunted houses, and they all are fascinating.
Hmm. Ever made one or worked at one?
No, I haven't. I've wanted to. I've wanted really, but the liability factor of those things have kept me far from it.
Mm, yeah,
Give, yeah, it's one of those things. Awesome to participate in, but I don't think I would want to run one.
yeah. I was telling another guest last week uh, in Germany. So I went to Frankenstein's castle in Germany, and it's very different in Germany because you're not going to get sued. Well, you're not like they do sue because I got sued when a lady actually caused an accident on the autobahn, but they don't do personal suing the way we do in the US. So when you go to a haunted house there, they can touch you, they can grab you, and they were grabbing people, they were putting them in
Oh,
coffins, they were doing a lot of different things that you would just never see happening in the US. So I was like, oh,
that would be fun.
it was, yeah, it's
That would be
definitely
fun.
very different. When somebody's screaming, some of them are actually really, really are scared. Okay, so next one is ride a horse.
I've done that. Love it.
Done
Up.
that. Okay. Go swing dancing.
Swing dancing, I have not done. I would like to do that. So that
Oh,
is right.
that is right. Awesome.
I've
Donate.
actually taken dance lessons. So back in the disco days, my sister, my oldest sister, made me do it, but I loved it. It was
Ah,
wonderful, wonderful experience.
disco dance lessons. All right. Well,
Yeah,
just gotta go a few years the other way into swing dancing.
yeah,
Or
yeah,
earlier in time than disco to get to swing.
yes, yep.
Okay, next one is donate books.
I love books. We do book exchange all the time. So up, yes,
Um,
I
oh,
encourage that.
all right. Next one is eat Ethiopian cuisine.
I have not done that, but I would try it. So right.
All right, that's all right. Very yummy, delicious food. Okay,
Mm.
the final one is make candles.
Make candles. I have not done that. I've watched it done, but I'd like to make candles.
All right,
So
so
right.
that's another right. All right, well, we added quite a few things to your list. The final
Awesome.
question, yeah, the final question is how have you been making the best out of the current situation with the pandemic?
I have been trying to not get tied up in all of the internet garbage related to it. You know, we all live in this society together and we have to worry about each other. We may not worry about the coronavirus ourselves, but other people are terrified of this. So I have an empathetic side about this that we're all going through, and we all have to live with it regardless if we agree or not. So first of all, I'm listening to people. I want to know how they feel. I want to understand why they feel that way. And I encourage others to do so as well instead of pound that negative force into people and telling them all of what they can and can't do. We should reinforce people by saying we've been through many difficult things together, and this too shall pass. Let's be humane to one another and care for each other. So that's kind of what I have been doing, trying to make my mind set instead of getting angry about the situation. Find a caring situation in your mind.
Yeah. What about like for your life? Like how's it impacted your life? Have you been doing anything
It
different,
really
new?
hasn't. I go about my business in the same way I would. I do think about it. I kind of watch where I touch a little more. I'm being more aware of where I go. And, if people are coughing, I really want to run the other way. That's just natural now because everybody's kind of got that fear. Even though I don't fear it, I find myself up in that moment. So I'm trying to stay away from that type of mindset where we react in a negative way. And that's really hard to do, especially when people are coughing
No, I mean,
in
we are,
Walmart and
yeah, we are wired for survival. So once our brain, whether or not we want to acknowledge, it has been placed in our brain that that is a threat. So as soon as it happens, it's lizard brain turns on, and
yeah,
the freak factor, comes up. I was at the grocery store and I was putting I got done putting my groceries in my car and I was on my way to put my cart back. And the lady was like, "Oh, I'll take it." And I know I don't have COVID, but I'm like, "Are you sure, are you sure you want to take it?"
yeah,
I was like, that
yeah,
was weird. Like, I know I don't have it. She's not at risk. So, but
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
but she is doing risky behavior. So I was just like,
right,
oh my God, like, oh, just get in the car and go away. Like, drive.
yes,
It's just,
yeah. So that mindset we all deal with, that's for sure, and it's terrifying to some people. And
yeah.
at the first when this started, I was really, come on, people, come on. But then I started recognizing, well, there are people with those fears that can really trigger some emotional turmoils that I may not even recognize or understand. So I kind of back away from situations a lot before I start jumping on people.
Yeah.
And
It's the
that's
right.
that's kind of what we need to do.
Yeah. That's
We'll
definitely
get through
the
COVID.
right approach. Yeah. It's gonna need the vaccine and need a cure. The two things that are gonna change things, just like they have for every other disease. But it's still heartbreaking. How many lives have been lost, and it's heartbreaking the way that somebody has to go because it's you're such a alone process, and then the family doesn't even get to mourn together. So that's always,
Yeah,
it's gonna have things have changed in many different ways, and those events are going to have repercussions and consequences
that's
for
right.
the rest of those people's lives,
Ripples.
Yeah.
Right.
So, all right, Ed. Well, I really appreciate you taking some time with me today, sharing the story, the first time you caught a salmon, and having this great conversation.
I had a wonderful time, Ann. Thank you for having me. It was fabulous.